We are back in Tulsa, Oklahoma on the fabulous 100-year-old Route 66, which has always, since 1926, passed right through the heart of downtown Tulsa, Oklahoma, and then stretching across the city for miles and miles eastwards. And believe it or not, just 10 years ago, Tulsa, Oklahoma was one of those cities a lot of the tour groups would skip because you had a few landmarks, then kind of just a downtown urban environment. People go, I don't know what there really is to see in Tulsa. But boy, things sure have changed. Tulsa has become the land of the giants, and they just keep on coming. This part of old Route 66, aka 11th Street, is known as the Meadow Gold District because they moved this old classic neon sign down here. After the building underneath it had to be demolished, they built this neat little travel plaza underneath and restored the neon just to give Route 66 visitors something to look at up here. I can remember on my first Route 66 just stopping underneath here and reading some of the signs, taking a few photos, and then it was kind of like, well, a lot of transmission shops and empty buildings. I guess we just move along. That is until a hero appeared, because in 2018, local entrepreneur and personal friend Mary Beth Babcock moved into this old abandoned Pemco gas station and then opened a boutique souvenir and curio shop, which she called Buck Adams Cosmic Curios. And for bucks, they created this beautiful mascot right here, the ultimate space cowboy, and then launched a fundraising campaign to do the impossible, to build a new roadside attraction on Route 66. And in 2019, Buck Atom conquered the universe. Now, of course, people know me for my enthusiasm for Route 66, so people were on top of it. Dude, have you heard? They're building a new roadside attraction. A customized muffler man, galactic space cowboy, is coming to Tulsa. And the nicest people in the world, the Random Land audience, got me this, my own brick, right here behind Buck's left boot. I knew I had to get out here, and not long after Buck Atom was installed, I made a trip on purpose just to see him, and Mary Beth instantly became my hero. New roadside attractions, neon signs, robots everywhere. Mary Beth, you just got it. You got what made Route 66 special. And look at this, we're only 7 years from Buck's installation, and the entire neighborhood has been transformed. It's literally almost no longer known as the Meadow Gold District. Now it's known as the land of the giants, because you never stopped.
I can't.
Buck got here in 2019, and in 2024, Mary Beth added this. Buck's girlfriend, Stella Atom, the space cowgirl. So now Buck's Cosmic Curios flanked on both sides by giant space cow people. And of course, somewhere during those years, the neon sign was added out here. Mary Beth has always been a whiz at finding talent, so all kinds of colorful murals started going up. She involved all kinds of local artists. And I cannot overemphasize to you how much 10 years ago, Route 66 sort of felt locked in stone. Its attractions were limited. They were slowly fading away one by one. And what a big crazy deal it was to open a new roadside attraction with a new giant anywhere on Route 66, much less right here in the shadow of the Meadow Gold Sign. And then to just keep expanding with giant robots. Or one of my all-time favorite things ever, Piggy Stardust. Buck Adams started showing people what this route could look like. It didn't take her very long to rope her friend William into buying the building across the street, which he transferred from an old muffler or transmission shop or something like that, into the Decapolis, this amazing series of stores over here, all now with neon signs of their own, including this restaurant, Red Light Chicken, and the Sky Gallery here in the center, which has the largest collection of Oklahoma local art. Ooh, look at that, there's even more neon on the inside. Look at this, local ceramics and glass, jewelry, pottery, paintings, greeting cards, metal sculpture. This is amazing. That is a lot different than your standard sort of cheap Route 66 t-shirt, generic Route 66 merch, which I love too. But to have custom one-of-a-kind artwork everywhere. Look at this, dinosaurs sitting out here at the Discovatorium with, hey, check this out, UFOs and a little tiki playground. And it didn't stop there. One by one, all these old, abandoned, rough-looking buildings started getting repainted, adding epic murals, and one by one, people started seeing the potential, and little boutique galleries started opening, teeth whitening places, spas, and salons, until literally. This whole strip of 11th Street of Route 66 started coming back to life. Dude, just one giant was unheard of, but to add the second giant, Stella Atom, to this street made it legendary forever. So of course, in 2024, shortly after Stella was installed, I made it a point to come and visit Tulsa so I could see the new space cowgirl. But on that trip, Mary Beth, who had quickly turned into one of my heroes and one of my favorite people, hit us with some insane news, because not only had she just opened up a new shop, but just like a week or two after we were there, the Meadow Gold District would be adding its third giant, the absolutely enormous Meadow Gold Mack, the friendly lumberjack. And Mary Beth gave us a tour inside of the facilities, which is just the coolest, most unusual, like well-curated collection of like boutique shops and antique shops and vintage knickknacks, vintage clothing, custom robots, vinyl records, local artwork, you name it, and it is in here. Look at this. We got feelings for sale on the wall. They got all the feels. One of the booths in here was called Buck's Vintage. They had tried to open a vintage shop right behind Buck Atom himself. That didn't really work out, but it's important to remember this little booth right here, because first Buck's Vintage was resurrected in here just as a booth, but like Buck Atom himself, it soon outgrew the space. Oh, look at this, dwelling spaces. That was Mary Beth's first shop in the Blue Dome District in more of a downtown Tulsa location before she moved over here and opened that old abandoned gas station into Buck Atom's Cosmic Curios. And anyway, by the end of 2024, not only had Mary Beth spearheaded 3 large giants and an epic vintage hipster shopping mall, basically, which, by the way, she had a lot of help with from a gentleman named Aaron Meek, who owns the building. I believe his grandparents operated a furniture store out of these buildings back in the day. He owns several properties in the area, and he becomes important to the story, especially because, among other things, he's the one that actually brought Mac out here. But in the 2 years since I was out here to see Stella Atom installed and to come and see Mac's future home here in front of the Meadow Gold shops and lofts, the supersizing of Tulsa has continued, because they've added not just one more, but 2 more giants just in the last year. For starters, they've got Cowboy Bob over here across the street from Meadow Gold Mack with custom boots and a custom Iris guitar up there. Look at the size of that instrument. That is one heck of a musical cowboy, and he's actually named after Mary Beth's father, Robert Babcock. So I like that there's a little bit of a personal touching story in there as well. Look at the size of that singing cowboy. And Bob here is in the perfect location, because right across the street from both Mac and the Meadow Gold Sign, another old building came back to life. It is now known as the 66 Collective. It too is completely covered in neon. There's 5 shops in here, including H Bar C Ranchwear, who brought one of their actual authentic vintage neon signs to the property. And then next door we've got Bad Penny over here on Route 66, an assemblage of custom jewelry, unique vintage stuff. Next door you got the Blair Hollow Candle Company, and then right there in the first 6 of 66, the full-size Buck's Vintage. Finally, the dream of Buck Atom's own vintage store has come true. And check this out, dude. I don't know where they find all this stuff. They got the classiest cowboy items in the West in here. Hello, I'm back. Look at that. Okay, that was the original hand-painted mural that was on the original Buck's Vintage right behind, or this was on the wall behind Buck Atom?
It was on the house.
Oh, the house behind it. Okay, which is where the first vintage shop was. And then Buck's horse here, Comet, Buck's horse before he went into outer space. That's amazing. He was on the wall there by Buck Atom. And now look at this, it's real. The full-size, fully armed and operational Buck's Vintage. Look at that vintage taxidermied goat right there. Children used to play with the weirdest things. His name is Pistol, and he's not the only taxidermied fella in the place. My favorite of which is probably this fox over here. Although I also like the beaver hiding down below. So look at the assemblage of stuff in here. I have an antique store booth myself at home. I know just how hard it is to make those kind of spaces look good, and everything at Meadow Gold Max and here at Buck's Vintage just looks amazing. Oh, and then look at this. There's Mary Beth's dad right there, the original Cowboy Bob, hiding up there in the loft right next to the disco ball. And look at all these guitars, the rocking horse. This is amazing. But I think my favorite thing is right over here, the wall of vintage boots. There's no size 14 cowboy boots, so no danger of me going full cowboy just yet, but you never know what they'll find out here in Tulsa. Where do they find this stuff? Look at that dress right there. We got some more taxidermy up here. Everything everywhere just looks amazing. This all looks like American pickers after they dig the stuff out and sell it for top dollar. Look at this. I love these. Those are so cool. Bucks Vintage is alive. Look at that. Another dream comes to life. I don't know what it is about Mary Beth Babcock. She manifests things and then they happen. Dude, stores are popping up everywhere over here. The sun literally shines again on old Route 66 in Tulsa. And it's not all just unique shops. Look at this on the corner of basically the same building complex as Meadow Gold Mack's. Not only do you have the cheese show out here, there's all kinds of gourmet foods, grab-and-go meals, catering, and an absolutely delicious neon sign. But you also have the brand new The Helen. What the Helen? Well, I'll tell you what the Helen. An old school diner right here on the corner coming from the downtown core proper along old Route 66, right in here to the Meadow Gold District, which, by the way, has earned another name. And this is a testament to how seriously Oklahoma takes Route 66. Look at these amazing new signs. I believe AARP had something to do with sponsoring these. Look at welcome to the historic Meadow Gold District, Route 66, roadside attractions, and the new nickname for the area, the land of the giants. Look at this. They got Southwest Trading Company here on the other corner, some Native American stuff, and then Tim's taking us inside the Helen. Oh, we're going through the back. Oh, this is so cool. Look at this. A corner diner right on Route 66. So Tim was just telling me that right now it's mostly breakfast. They have super famous, amazing French toast. Also getting a delivery right here. It's bad timing on my part, but that's okay. And it's named after his grandmother. She was the Helen. And then look at this. You've got the family photos. You've got Helen right here and little Tim. Oh, that is a great picture right there. See, that is cool. I like the family part of the story. This is amazing. Welcome to the Helen. They're open from 7 a.m. till 2:29. And before, that would have been a bad thing, because before, when you came through Tulsa, you didn't want to stay here. You kind of come through in the middle of the day and try to get out by nightfall. Now, this is the place you can hang out in all day. You want to wake up in Tulsa. You want to stay all night. You want to see the neon. Even London's happy because he was just over there with Mary Beth herself getting a little lunch. I believe they're actually eating over at Buck Adams. They're getting a little bologna, because over here just in front of Stella Atom, who looks radiant in the sunlight. Man, we're finally getting some sun out here. WT is running bologna Maloney's. Tasty smoked bologna sandwiches and more right at Buck Adams' front door. How was the sandwich?
It was really good.
Really? Mm-hmm. See, there you go. Just one more reason to stop here now. Dude, and you know that won't be the last of it. Mary Beth is always reinventing Buck Adam and the experience out here, mostly by collaboration. I always call her the Route 66 cheerleader. If I could vote for a president that was just anyone I know, she would definitely be at the top of the list. I love how the one thing left over from the old days is this service station over here, right? This car repair station, and I can actively see Mary Beth out there talking to him about, hey, what if we do some murals, some neon signs, and all this kind of stuff. She still works on it every day, dude. She's still actively cheerleading for the whole transformation in the whole neighborhood. Now, you may have noticed every business is getting neon signs, something that is happening all over Tulsa and the nearby region, Stroud, Oklahoma, that we drove through the other day. My jaw was on the floor. London was laughing the whole time. I was freaking out. Like I said, Oklahoma has been taking Route 66 very seriously, especially when it comes to preservation and the Centennial celebration. In fact, we were just hanging out with Reese Martin this morning, the president of the Oklahoma Route 66 Association. They do so much good work, and they've managed to partner with just like dozens and dozens of local businesses to get neon signs all up and down the route, which involves all different kinds of grants and everything, national grants in some cases, which has lent another nickname to this area of Tulsa. Not only is it the Meadow Gold District and the land of the giants, it's also now known as the Neon Quarter. But before we can talk about that anymore, we have to acknowledge this. Look at that. It's Rosie the Riveter. Dude, and look at the size of that strong woman. And whose idea was Rosie the Riveter, a fifth giant?
Aaron Meek.
Okay, so the guy that owns all these buildings.
Yes.
And we got to give him a shout out. He probably won't want it, but he
Yes.
owns a lot of these buildings down here, right?
He does. He owns about 40% of
buildings on Route 66 in Tulsa. It's amazing.
And he's the guy that's requiring a lot of these places to put in neon signs if they're going to run a business, but he's cooperating with all this crazy stuff.
Yes.
So there's a bunch of unsung heroes. We're giving you most of the credit.
Yes.
Because you're the cheerleader, the ringleader, I like to say.
But to
you
have
help people visualize it. That's the thing.
Right. To have somebody like Aaron helps me to do what I'm doing.
Yeah,
So-
and I love this. So this was his idea.
Yes, his mom was a Rosie the Riveter.
Oh,
so he
that's
did it
amazing.
in memory of her.
And then I was just talking to Tim, and his grandma was Helen, so that's why the Helen.
Right,
It's
all
like,
this heart. There's a lot of
yeah,
heart
all
put
this
into this.
heartfelt, like family stories. I love this. My Aunt Kate was also, my great Aunt Kate, she was also a Rosie the Riveter in St. Louis during World War II, working on planes and landing gears and bombs. That is so cool and so inspiring. Look at Rosie out here, and I happen to know that Mary Beth is not done. She has a vision, a picture in her head, a picture of this, and more, and more, and more. And look at this coming down the street. There is more, and more, and more. Because first of all, you have the very freshened up Ike's Chili, which has actually been around since 1908. But look at this transformation now. Pictures of the Giants outside. Sick neon, fresh mustard-colored banners. That's some good chili. A Route 66 classic. And then now look at this. I told you this neighborhood was getting hip and cool. This is called Public Images. A little nod to PIL right there. And they've got an exhibit right now, an exhibition, the photography of Henry Diltz. He's the guy that took those famous pictures of the Doors, the Morrison Hotel stuff. He's also got pictures of Jimi Hendrix, the Rolling Stones, legends of rock and roll, all featured right here along the side of Route 66. Shout out to the owner, Larry White, but also to Josh, who's working in there, who brought us inside and guided us around a little bit. I actually met Josh with Adam, the Woo, at the last day I ever hung out with him, actually, in person. And weirdly, last year, Adam and I also went to downtown LA and found the Morrison Hotel. And we're taking pictures of the album with the building. That's amazing. It's one of those weird kismet things. And now the photographer, Henry Diltz, is having a little exhibition right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Check this out across the street. You got this hip pizza shop, Empire Slice Shop, with a sick neon sign. And then right down here past it, look at this. This stands out. It's Howdy Burger. Not only do I love that freaking neon sign, look at that burger with a lasso, but the mural on that unusual curve of that otherwise like very plain building. Look at that, partner. They're saying my first rodeo. See, it's the graphic design, the murals, the neon. And I think Mary Beth really had a lot to do with this. She's humble and very collaborative, and it took a lot of people. It took teamwork to make the dream work. But I think Buck Adam really deserves a lot of credit because she showed people, I mean, she physically showed people how new roadside attractions, how good graphic design, how neon, and most importantly, fun and collaboration can literally change everything. She showed them how it's done. As with anything, right? I mean, 10, 15 years ago, I was telling people how I wanted to do a little YouTube show at Disneyland. And people are like, what? What are you talking about? No one will ever watch stuff from Disneyland. Well, then I just went out and started making it anyways, and now there's billions and zillions and jillions of people filming that. It's one of those things where sometimes people just can't see it until some manifestation appears so they can actually visualize it. Mary Beth Babcock is not just a visionary, but she's also somebody who made it happen in a way that opened everybody else's eyes so they could see the vision as well. Now Route 66 is transforming not just in Tulsa, but in all the surrounding countryside. It is spreading like wildfire. Fun is back. Creativity is king, and the route is getting new stuff in Oklahoma all the time. All right, London and I have roamed around. Mary Beth had to go. She's got new Giants to plan. We've got quite a long way to drive today. At the moment, we're getting a little reprieve. We're getting a little bit of sunshine, a little nice weather. There's a very serious danger of rain overtaking us for the entire rest of our trip, which we are hoping doesn't happen. Either way, we're gonna try to beat it. So we're cruising on into Missouri today. It's a long, long way to go, and that's a lot of Oklahoma we're gonna have to fast forward past. But don't worry, we're not quite done with Giants yet. And by the way, neither is Tulsa, because soon they're going to be adding a 66-foot dinosaur to Tulsa's attractions. And when I say soon, I mean this year. Now, the dinosaur won't be right here in this land of the Giants, but it is coming. Tulsa has got plans huge plans. Just so epic, man, because back in the day, all you wanted to do is stop at the Meadow Gold Sign, you know, maybe the Blue Dome Station downtown, which sadly we didn't have time for today. And then maybe a few travelers would cruise down 11th Street past all the old motels and old forlorn gas stations to the Golden Driller, and that was about it for Tulsa. Now it's like the whole town is starting to fill up. It's all spreading from the Meadow Gold District. In 10 years, the Route 66 experience went from desperately wishing you could skip over Tulsa to now it's hard to leave Tulsa. And yet leave Tulsa we must, because we've still got some big fish to fry today. In fact, it's the biggest fish of them all, the world famous blue whale of Catoosa. The most famous giant in Oklahoma on Route 66. A world famous roadside wonder since 1972. An evergreen classic that has recently completely changed. Famously built by a retired zoologist named Hugh Davis, presented to his wife for their wedding anniversary in 1972. This became a swimming hole and part of sort of a public attraction right next door to his animal attraction, the Ark Animal Reptile Kingdom. And there used to be sort of a replica Noah's Ark out here, and weird abandoned cages and mushrooms and things scattered through the woods. But long after the attractions closed, the blue whale still remained out here, 80 feet long, 20 feet tall, an icon of Catoosa and of Route 66. It had some interesting concrete whale-shaped benches and seats, a small restroom, and a humble gift shop. But as you can see out here, everything has changed. No longer are we dealing with a tiny gravel parking lot, 2 tiny restrooms, and a low bridge gift shop. The city of Catoosa purchased this property sometime around the turn of the century, and ever since they've been itching to upgrade the facilities here. And they have changed this so much that the blue wasn't sitting over there, I wouldn't even know where I was. Dude, look at the size of this new visitor center. Look at the size of that neon sign, which might be as big as the freaking whale itself. Now, the visitor center just had their sign lighting ceremony. It's not open yet. It opens on May 30th, 2026 for the Centennial celebration, so it's pretty much empty inside at the moment. And I am blown away by this. I mean, I love the style of architecture. I love the fact that they're adding some neon in there. They got the glass blocks, the porthole-shaped windows over here, the big mid-century glass windows looking out over the blue whale itself. They got plenty of space inside this place. I don't know what they're gonna fill it with, but man, that's a lot of room. This is insane, dude. I've heard a lot of complaints about this because of ripping out the old gift shop, which was right about there, the old restroom area, which is kind of right around where we're standing. It's hard to even tell. Those old original concrete benches going all the way back to the Davis family, and then adding something which at the moment, without any trees around it or anything, does feel like it totally overshadows the actual whale. The cutesy handmade kind of quality and style of the original buildings here has been replaced by something that looks very mid-century, more mid-century than the blue whale even is. It is mammoth. I can see why it is controversial, why people are divided, but as I was telling somebody yesterday, you know what? Give the visitor center 50 years and it will be historic too. This is crazy though, because the whole old seating area is gone, now replaced by a much more sturdy, stable, concrete walkway down there. You can still walk right into the blue whale itself, but apparently, at least for the moment, the trail that goes around the blue whale on the other side is closed, although I can see some new poles out there, so maybe it'll reopen. They have got a heck of a huge space over here for a massive gift shop operation. I'm assuming there's restrooms in there. I mean, each wing on either side of the big glass room in the center is 3 times the size of the original gift shop and restrooms put together. I was just talking to an older fella who grew up swimming here in the swimming hole. He was pretty upset about it. As he so eloquently put it just a second ago, he goes, man, this thing makes the blue whale look tiny and miniature and puny. He was also pretty upset about them removing those old concrete whale-shaped benches like I was talking about, because they were made by Hugh Davis himself back in the day. Hopefully those are put in storage and will be reappearing on the property. Fingers crossed. I must say, I'm impressed by the neon sign. I mean, it's incredible, and the arrow and the size and the scale of the building, but he's right, it does kind of make the blue whale itself look kind of puny. His wife was just saying, like, man, it almost makes the whale irrelevant. I think a lot of that is sticker shock. I certainly have it too. I'm like, whoa, this is very different. It's like when you see somebody with a new haircut, right? And they're like, how do I look? And you're like, dude, I don't know about that. Because they look so different at first that they look weird to you. You know what I'm saying? But here's the thing. I've learned over the years that sometimes you gotta wait until you formulate your opinion. Don't let it fossilize, because that might be the favorite haircut of all time. You know what I mean? It might grow on you. So I I'm certainly blown away by the size of the sign, the visitor center, and at least we won't have to go all the way back into town to use the restrooms, because half the time the restrooms were closed out here. The gift shop was so small before you could barely fit 2 people inside of it, and now of course you're gonna have some more epic neon along Route 66. You know that the blue whale will be well funded and preserved for the future, and he looks big down here, you know, the 40 feet by 20 feet thing. I'm happy to say he looks perfectly fine from down here, but yeah, when you're standing up there next to that huge building, he does look rather small down here. I only have one qualm, really. You know, they got this nice new parking lot, nice new visitor center, everything is nice and new, and the landscaping is all nice and new, but I think this is a huge mistake. They've got a tree down here that's totally gonna block the whale's face from up there by the money shot. I got another one right. This might not be the best spot for trees. That was always the problem. There were trees here before, and it was always hard to get the perfect pick unless you stood all the way down here. And look at that. I love the fins, or the old slide, or his little arms there. I don't know what they're technically called on a whale. I'm not a zoologist, a marine biologist, a mammalologist. And then of course the whale's tail was a diving board, and it's probably not recommended to swim in the water here anymore. It looks a little more green and algae covered than it probably did back in the heyday of the swimming hole, and we don't want to get any brain-eating amoebas. People also used to do fishing out here. I can actually see a fish swimming down there right at the end of the slide. You see that? The weird thing is, since the city bought this, I thought they would fence off these little old slides. I guess they figured nobody's crazy enough to try to go swimming in this water these days. Look, here's the ladders to climb back up on the whale while you were swimming. I don't know if you can see that. There was a bunch of fish in there and some gunk. No more ladder up to the tail, so you can no longer stand up there for a fun pick or to dive off. I noticed this last time, the last restoration, that they put some like vinyl decking out here instead of the old wood that felt like you were gonna collapse through it, which is a very good thing. Believe me, I feel a lot safer on the whale now than I did back in the day. Actually, inside the tail, you can see some of the original wood, which itself probably isn't original, but you can see this wood here seen some better days. A little, I wouldn't want to stand on that anymore, let's put it that way. I'll tell you what, the blue whale has always been famous, and it's always had a lot of visitors from all over the world, as well as local visitors, but I have seen a lot of people pulling over here much more frequently than ever before already because of that new visitor center and sign, so clearly it is already serving its purpose, that's for sure. I think it's just going to take some getting used to, right? And once you do come down on the walkway right in front of it, it's like, okay, there it is. There's what I remember. There's nothing new to disturb your vision of the ultimate American roadside attraction, the blue whale. This is something I used to see on books, right? Roadside attraction books, old Charles Phoenix books, things like that. I always wanted to come here throughout my whole childhood. It was a bucket list location for me, and I'm glad that it still exists. Whatever it takes, if it took a 30-story casino, whatever, as long as it still remains out here. There's just one thing that I really miss from right before the city-owned era, which is back in the day, in the heyday. Not only could you go inside of Blue's mouth right here, and climb up onto the tail, which I don't really miss, but you could climb up this ladder right here in the center of him, right through this porthole, and go stand upstairs, pop your head out of the portholes in Blue's head, get a sick pic, and there were always Sharpies up there. They would let you sign your name up inside of the blue whale. Well, now social media and YouTube, and of course things like Random Land, even to say nothing of the 100th anniversary Centennial celebration. All that stuff has changed the game on Route 66, right? It's no longer just lonely old motorcycle riders or retirees or the odd, strange, eccentric person obsessed with roadside attractions. Route 66 travel and tourism has had a heck of a rebirth in the last decade. So getting rid of the signatures makes sense, but I miss being able to go up and look through those portholes. Well, at least you're still able to do the funnest part of the blue whale. Look, Ma, I'm Jonah! Fine, I'll go to Nineveh! I'll tell you what, from down next to the blue whale, the gift shop does really work. It looks great from down there. I know the neon sign's gonna pull in new visitors and keep the blue whale going for generations with the proceeds from this gift shop here. It's just from up here. This thing is gargantuan. Look at the size of that thing. It is absolutely massive. By the way, if this gets more and more popular, which finally it has a big enough parking lot to accommodate all the visitors, I'm hoping somebody reopens the Arrowwood Trading outpost right across the street, which was also part of the family operations, I believe, for a while. Okay, so you'll have to go back to my original Route 66 end-to-end-to-end series from 2017 to see it. Not only was the original animal attraction Ark still sitting out here in the parking lot for years and years, and you could go inside of it still back then, but we also explored these woods when they were completely overgrown, but still full of wonders. The old homemade mushrooms, and all of the old reptile and animal cages. They tore down the Ark now, which we all understand because that thing was falling apart on its own without any help. But look at this, they have preserved at least one of the big animal cages right here, right off the parking lot. Kind of a muddy process to get up here now. They haven't fully planted all the grass around here yet, but at least something remains to tell the tale. Because as far as I can see, all the other old original cages are gone. If it wasn't so muddy, if we hadn't got so much rain over the past couple of days, I'd go traipsing off there and look in the bushes. I'm sure there's still some more remnants, but for the most part, no, it's all closed up. I didn't know there was another lake back there. There was a private home over here where the son of the original creator of the blue whale was living for a while, so that whole driveway down to that lake was off limits. So this is pretty cool. I hope they turn this into something. Maybe they can turn this back into a turtle pond or something and restore it rather than seeing it still decay. Interesting. By the way, look at this. I found a frog. That is a tiny, tiny frog right there. Anyway, like I say, because of the weather, among other things, London and I have got to continue blasting our way down Route 66. But never you mind, our Route 66 playlists on this channel are full of Oklahoma Route 66 adventures, plus there's still a couple new things to see before we end today's adventure entirely. And dude, look at that. I'm still happy. The blue whale of Catoosa lives on. It's very exciting that it'll be preserved forever as Catoosa's #1 attraction in a land of giants. The blue whale will always be king, and it'll hopefully continue to inspire generations to come. Look at the size of that thing. That is a whale of a sign. I hate to just blast through this section because there's a lot of old original abandoned Route 66 bridges, old alignments, old downtowns. You got Will Rogers' old home and museum, which is pretty fantastic. Route 66 underpasses. Luckily we've come this way before, and hopefully, Lord willing, we come this way again. Don't get me wrong, we're still seeing some of this stuff. Look at this. I got London driving down an old original alignment of Route 66. One of those ones that goes off the big wide later alignments. Ain't it beautiful? Yes, sir. Lots to see in Oklahoma. Anyway, we got on to big old fat Route 66 again, and we've been cruising down the highway, but there was one more place we had to stop. Meantime, right here at the Highway Cafe in Vinita, Oklahoma, which, look at this, now has the most amazing neon sign right here along the side of the road. This place has been out here for decades and decades, since at least the 1960s that I know of. And look at this, not only is it part of Route 66, but the Jefferson Highway as well. Check out that Jefferson Highway bench. And it's the Jefferson Highway Tourist Center, apparently. I'm freaking loving that neon sign. I've been stopping here for years because in addition to being a classic highway cafe, literally, it's also the home of one of Oklahoma's giants, a big old giant chef named Big Al. If you eat at the Highway Cafe, this is who's doing all the cooking. Now, here's the weird thing, is I remember way back in the day, this thing's name being Big Carl, and you can still find a lot of articles where people call him that. Apparently, since the refresh in 2023, he's been Big Al. And if you look right next to Betty Boop over here on the old Route 66 roadside attraction sign, it says Big Bill the Muffler Man. Well, whatever his name is, he's a classic. I believe at one time this place was also famous for the Guinness Book of World Records most stickers on a car. They must have been surpassed by now. Look at that thing. Seligman must have the title if it's still on 66. Or maybe that was a different car and we're going for a new record. Either way, we contributed. Just look at that thing. I almost feel like we're already in Missouri or Illinois just by the environment here. Kind of flattened out a little bit, a little less trees than we've been seeing. And then look at this, just over here across the parking lot towards the Western Motel. I believe this Big Chief right here was originally a roadside attraction in Massachusetts along the Mohawk Trail, but he was not accurate for that part of the country. And somehow, some way, found himself here in Oklahoma, very near to the Cherokee Nation and lots of other indigenous peoples living out here. And in 2023, I think, he found a home right here across the way from the Big Chef, just about halfway between the Highway Cafe and the Western Motel itself. And by the way, we're not done with our giants, because the Western Motel, which originally opened as the Quarter Horse Motel in the 1950s, because apparently you could sleep with your horse there. See, people are really into horses in Oklahoma. Became the Western Motel later on, and look at this. It's all fixed up and cleaned up. I've never seen it so welcoming looking. It's crawling with Route 66 travelers, and look at this. Dude, once again, Oklahoma to the rescue with the epic neon signs. That thing looks like it just came straight out of the past. And even out here in the light of day, look at that lasso twirl up there. That is so freaking epic. Look, no vacancy. This place is plentiful tonight. Gotta add this to my list of never stayed but really want to now. And hey, I don't know if they still offer horse accommodations, but check out what they just got out here. Look at this. This is Big Bill. A brand new giant muffler man installed out here in 2025, July of 2025. One of the newest giants on the route. He's got a neon sign behind him, some very swanky shoes. And I don't know if that's just a really tiny map or a very square postcard, but he's got a little map up there, and this is most impressive of all. Look at the keys right here to the Western Motel. This is sick. It's nearly 5 alleys tall, almost 25 feet. Dude, and I don't know what's going on out here, but they have really cleaned this place up. Dude, I cannot wait till I have the next opportunity to come through here at night and see this neon sign lit up. This is what we need, more neon. Dude, I am loving these references to the Jefferson Highway. Hashtag make Jefferson Highway a thing. Look at this right under the cover by the office. Get some more statues in here, a little bit of taxidermy, a little mock covered wagon. This is great. Freaking Oklahoma is becoming riddled with giants, and I don't hate it. Dude, Joel from American Giants and Mark Klein, who's building a lot of these. These guys are heroes. They are just helping to make it happen all over the route, preserving and moving giants that came from other places, building brand new ones. Hey, look at there. There's a dog. Where's that dog going? You're the man now, dog. He looks like he knows what he's doing. He's at home. I was expecting giants. I wasn't expecting dogs. Freaking epic, dude. Freaking epic. All right, we're going to blast our way here through Vinita and keep moving onwards. Oklahoma's been full of giant things today, but this last thing we're going to take a close look at is awfully miniature. And lately, it's been awfully controversial. Some of you may have guessed where this was going. It is the Ribbon Road, or as I prefer to call it, the Sidewalk Highway. This became a part of Route 66 in 1926, but it was actually completed in 1922. A little section of road where they only had half the budget they needed, and according to legend, rather than doing half the road, in terms of paving it I'm talking about, they just paved half the width. So all up and down this little stretch of road, only 9 feet was paved. It was 9 feet wide, which is barely wide enough for one car, let alone 2 trucks passing each other. You can actually still see the original 1922 concrete curbs that were at the edges of the road, which, as you can see, has been filled in with modern asphalt over the years. And of course, they usually cover this road with gravel because the sides of it are still unpaved. That's for all the farmers and people who actually live down back here along the old Ribbon Road. And unfortunately, quite often the gravel and dirt out here does obscure the Ribbon Highway, the Ribbon Road, the Sidewalk Highway, whatever you want to call it. I once literally went to the closest Walmart, bought a broom, and came back out here to sweep off the road so I could show it on camera. Last time London was out here with me, he didn't have his driver's license, but I let him drive a little piece of the Ribbon Road. Please don't tell the state of Oklahoma that. Well, nowadays, the Sidewalk Highway is a very controversial and technically not open to through traffic anymore. Well, as you can see, even the 9 feet that's paved here in the center of this pretty active little road back to these farms and houses back here has ended up in serious need of repair. So in 2020, people started discussing restoration or repaving, including ripping out the original pavement underneath the modern asphalt and milling out some of the concrete curbs here, and then actually paving the dirt shoulders or the sides in a different way so you can, distinguish the original road. And that's basically what they announced they were going to do around the time we were coming here last time, 23, 24, sometime around there. Well, this caused a massive outcry from Route 66 preservationists. As we've seen, in Oklahoma, they take Route 66 pretty darn seriously, as well they should. We've sort of half won the battle, the old school preservationists, because I think what's happening, if I'm getting my facts correct, and I could be wrong, the situation has changed many times, 2/3 of it or so are going to be fully repaved and changed, and I think a little bit of concrete preserved where they can. And then as I understand it, 1 mile of the road, seemingly this mile right here that is still open to the public and not being reconstructed, is going to be more or less left alone. So anyway, right now, at the beginning of 2026, they have not yet finished the project. But normally you can drive the ribbon road all the way from this little patch of farms in the south, all the way up to Miami, Oklahoma, right into the town. And at the moment, seems to be just this first mile here at the very south of the road that's still open to the intrepid Route 66 traveler. Of course, that's not gonna stop us from seeing just how far we can get down the road. So far, we've actually gone a pretty good ways. I haven't seen any barricades or anything actually saying it's closed. Oh, wait. Now I'm seeing the barricades. Now I'm seeing it. Oh, yeah, you can see how the old section is right here. You see the concrete curbs on either side and that little bit of pavement in the center. Well, look what they're doing here. You see, this is what the preservationists were angry about. This is what they were worried about. Look how they massacred my boy. Oh yeah, they did new paving right up there. It looks like just right up on top of the old road. One shoulder is still gravel at the moment so that local traffic can still pass through here, but you can see the other shoulder, which is a little lower down, is in fact also paved. Dude, I don't know what the full plan is, but I don't see any concrete bumpers at all. This is just asphalt on asphalt. Ugh, I don't like this. You can definitely see the 9-foot width, or actually it looks a little wider than that here. You can see the wider center raised portion of asphalt, but that is definitely not original 1922 anything. Ooh. Still, I mean, I guess it could be worse. They could have just flattened it out and made it just a normal road. Yeah, but unless they paint this or do something, this is Gnarls Bronson, dude. This is weird. Most of the change we've seen has been very good. Some of it less good. Still, this is not finished, so I'm just going off a first impression of what's here, what's available to see. I hope it doesn't end up just looking like this with a weird little raised section, because I don't know if you can even really see that on camera. It's just raised up an inch or two. Perhaps there'll be paint, or they will mill in some concrete curbs again, or I don't know. This is where the romance of the road and the historians and the preservationists and the Route 66 Association and everybody else butts up against the realities of local government that actually has to take care of these farm roads and local farmers who are like, we just want to drive down a road, okay? We're sick of the gravel here. We're sick of broken, crappy, 104-year-old concrete. We can't keep this old road. The road's bumpy. You don't want to go down that road. This sure is different. It's those Orinco trucks. You gotta stay out of the road. It's that damn road. I don't love it as is, but it's not finished. That's the reason the road is closed. I'm just taking a risk walking up the closed road just to show you what it's like at the moment. Hopefully, this is just a weird footnote in history. Hopefully, we're just getting a weird asterisk. I mean, okay, you can kind of see it here. You can kind of see the outline of it a bit better, but yeah, it's very weird. On that side is definitely paved. I mean, it's paved just like the middle of the road is paved. Don't look no different to me. That is not, I don't think, what we were promised. Still, people live back here. They have a right to use a good road, and at least there's still that first mile, even though gravel kind of obscures it and everything else. Go get a broom. You could sweep it off. And at least for the moment, you can still drive a mile of the original Sidewalk Highway. Oh, I like to be positive and only focus on the things that I do like rather than focusing on stuff like this that weirds me out, but I hope I'm wrong about this, but for now, it just looks like this is where the sidewalk ends, and this is nearly where our adventure today ends. If you'd like to keep us on the road, there are multiple ways to do it. Like, share, comment, share the video with a friend. That's very important. And free. The best thing you can do, though, is join our Patreon. That keeps us fueled up and ready for future adventures. We also have a merch store, including my book. We got these Random Land hats. We've got the best dang hot sauce ever created in the history of planet Earth. I'm a little biased, but I still stand by that. All of that and more, including links to our Facebook group, can be found at randomland.com. Very easy to remember. Okay. Now we have a little ways to go, a little ways to progress. I just want to add to the end of this that at least Reese Martin and others from the Oklahoma Route 66 Association and other preservationists did fight to keep 1 mile of it untouched. That is the silver lining here, and it's more than I expected, so that is good. But dang, I really hope they make that look better down there. All right, anyway, no point sitting here dwelling on it. It's time for us to push on. Which means pushing on through the town of Miami, Oklahoma. I know you're tempted to say Miami, but don't do it. It's Miami. Like every Route 66 town, there's a lot of stuff to see here, and I'm so tempted to just make London pull over. Like, let's pull over, let's stay for a long time. We gotta keep pushing on though, because we've got to get ourselves to the state line. However, even before that, in the next town, I do have to make a stop for a friend. Not gonna lie, I'm kind of sad to be leaving Oklahoma, especially now that we have better weather today. We have now made it into the tiny little town of Commerce, Oklahoma, someplace we have been many times on our travels, but someplace I have never once been before without sending a text to my friend Adam the Woo, whose dad, Mr. Jim Williams, used to preach at a church that I believe was located right here in this building. Every time I would come through, I would text Adam, he would text me back and tell me where to go. He'd tell me about his uncle that still lived, and he'd tell me about his uncle that still lived up here in these parts. So I'm just pulling over here now and take a few pictures and send some to Jim and June and just have a little moment here before we reach our final destination. If I'm remembering it correctly, and I was always getting directions from Adam on FaceTime the first time. This building, which is now like a city municipal building, was the church, I think? Don't quote me on that. Adam did a whole video series with his dad where they came back here, and I'm pretty sure their house was right here on this lot. Because I always had to take pictures of it and send them to him. Man, that little kid that lived right here sure did have a crazy future ahead of him that changed a lot of lives, including mine. And I really miss him. We were going to meet up together on this trip. This is one of the places that we were going to be able to meet up and go to, as well as Eufaula, Oklahoma, which I've never been to, but he wanted to take me to. It's moments like these, I'm really glad London's with me, at least. Anyway, take a few pictures for the Williams family, some of their memories, and keep going. Although we should mention before we go, Commerce, Oklahoma, which has proudly spent 100 years on Route 66, is home to the famous Route 66 Dairy King and Allen's Filling Station, otherwise known as the Hole in the Wall Conoco. Now I couldn't help myself. I had to leave an Adam the Woo tribute sticker here. Of course, my best friend wasn't the only famous person to live in Commerce, Oklahoma, because Commerce was also the boyhood hometown of Mickey Mantle. Look at that. There's Mickey Mantle's house right there. They finally have a new sign out front as well as the plaque on the house. But dude, Mickey Mantle's garage still looks like it's gonna fall down any second. Why wouldn't anyone fix the garage? Anyway, we're pushing on to our very last stop. We've only got one more stop to make because we crossed into Oklahoma together on this Random Land series. So dadgummit, we're gonna cross out of it together too. Oklahoma, 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 Kansas. We've crossed the state line. Goodbye, Oklahoma, Oklahoma. Hello, Kansas. But also, goodbye to all of you. Just for a moment, let us not say goodbye, actually. Let us say au revoir. Remember those links down below in the description. I have been your host, Justin Scar. That's my son, London. Give London a big fat thumbs up on this video. More adventures await, but for now, we've done our duty. Time for us to motel and sleep well. See you down the road.
Come out here 50 years ago and swim.
In fact, it's the biggest fish of them all, the world famous blue whale of oh my gosh, I can't believe I flubbed that. Because we crossed the what in the stutter was that? First time I was ever here in Chelsea, Oklahoma. There were no signs for that underpass. There was nothing. No cute get your kicks under Route 66. I went down there. There were hoodlums down there. I had to park at the pharmacy. The people coming in and out of the pharmacy were staring at me like, what's that guy doing? I'm holding a big camera. Everyone's like, what in the world? Oh, things have changed. Things have changed for the better in Chelsea, Oklahoma. The cartoons are true. Eat. You never see that anymore. Now we just need to see an Eat at Joe's. That's all we need, an Eat at Joe's. like the Looney Tunes. Know what I mean, Vern?